Hi guys, good morning or good afternoon. It's me again, Dr. Fiore, your professor for business and professional writing. Please, please, please watch this announcement or listen to this announcement in its entirety. The reason I am recording it is twofold. First, I have read and graded all of the elevator pitches for one section. I'm teaching two sections of this class, and you are in one of the two sections. So the elevator pitch assignment was based or is based in part on one of the assigned readings for week one. And the assigned reading was titled Your Elevator Pitch Needs an Elevator Pitch. And I am 90% sure I also addressed this in the Unit 1 lecture. The whole point of the assigned reading Your Elevator Pitch Needs an Elevator Pitch is that it may not be great. You may not want to hear this, but the article states that most people who ask you, what do you do, especially on an elevator, don't really care what you do, and that they're not really listening. So the point of the article is that if you say, hi, my name is Mia Fiore, I'm an English major, I'm a student at Bard College, and I'm going to be attending graduate school in the fall, and I aim to be a professor. So if you say that, which is basically what everyone says, the only thing that differs is the person's name and their desired career and their chosen university, the person who's listening isn't really going to listen because it's not that interesting and they don't care in the first place. That's what the article's premise is. So the article says that you need to apply these 4 different strategies to break with expectation and to really engage your audience. So this way the person won't be able to help being sort of reeled in and listening to what you're saying. So the article says that you don't want to say, hi, I'm Mia Fiore, and I'm an English major and I want to be a great teacher. You want to say something, and I'll use one of the elevator pitches I just finished reading. I want to say, hi, my name is Mia Fiore and I inspect elevators that are suspected of being faulty. So see how if I say that to someone on an elevator, it's probably going to get that person's attention because we're on an elevator, and if I inspect elevators that are suspected of being faulty, that means we're in a dangerous situation. So that is called the verbal slap, and that is the first of 4 suggested strategies that you're supposed to actually use in your elevator pitch. Now, as I stated, I just finished reading and watching the elevator pitches, and I think I want to say we have 19 students in the class, and there were maybe 3 or 4 people who didn't turn in any work, so that knocks it down to about 15 or 16, and of that 15 or 16, there were only 4 or 5 people that did it the correct way. And I went and I looked at the instructions, and the instructions for the assignment say that you should incorporate what you learned in the lecture and then the assigned readings. So I think that makes it pretty obvious that you're supposed to apply the methods discussed in your elevator pitch needs an elevator pitch. Now, you may note that even for those of you who didn't apply those methods, I think I was pretty lenient in grading. The grade you received for that was most likely an 85. Even though, again, the directions make it pretty clear that you are supposed to use the methods discussed in the article. So, but going forward, I think that it's, this is college, this is university, I think that it's reasonable to say that you need to be more careful in following the instructions, and that means in incorporating the assigned readings and the assigned lecture, because these readings are assigned for a reason. And if you don't do the reading, then you really must watch the lecture, because in the lecture I will discuss the most important concepts from the reading, and then you will be able to apply these concepts in the assignments for that week. So the second point or major point of this lecture is the cover letter, which is one of your assignments for week 2. So you may have noticed that as far as the reading assignments go, there are 2 reading assignments that deal with the cover letter. One is the OWL workshop, and the other is the textbook. Which chapter is it? It is chapter 10, I believe, or chapter 11 in the textbook can. Cover letter is chapter 10. So here's my advice to you. Now, you are more than welcome to read both the OWL workshop on the cover letter and the textbook chapter on the cover letter, and you are also more than welcome to incorporate the methods. You'll go crazy if you try to incorporate the methods discussed by OWL and in the textbook. I would recommend and actually urge and beg you to please follow the strategies discussed in the textbook in chapter 10 when writing your cover letter. So the cover letter, and I believe I discussed this already in the lecture, which was posted on Monday, but I'm just going to do a brief, I'm just going to repeat it here briefly. So the cover letter, the textbook suggests that you use an approach that they call AIDA, and that stands for the 4 stages that the letter should develop. One, it should grab the attention of the reader. 2, it should develop the interest of the reader. 3, it should develop a feeling of desire in the reader. And 4, it should push the reader into action. Now, this again is in chapter 10 of the textbook, and it is discussed in greater detail starting on page 199. Now, for the cover letter, in the first paragraph, the book reminds us that you don't have a whole lot of freedom, because while you do want to get the person's attention in the first paragraph, the standard form is that in a cover letter, in your opening paragraph, you're supposed to identify how you have heard about the position and also the position that you are applying for. So I'm applying for the marketing manager position, and I saw it advertised in the LA Times on Wednesday, May 3rd. So the book doesn't give a whole lot of other specific information as to what you should include in the first paragraph, but it does say that one way you can really get the attention of your audience is by mentioning any personal connections. Now, we've all heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and I'm sure many people would attest to that statement. If you happen to be fortunate enough to know somebody at the company you're applying to or at the school you're applying for a teaching job at, by all means, mention it. The book says that we should do this. I've never had bad experience or a negative response to mentioning a personal connection. I don't know if anyone else has, but that is the book's recommendation for the first paragraph, that you must state the position you're applying for, as well as how where did you hear about the position, and then they also urge you to reveal if you have a personal connection, if you know somebody. Just another suggestion is that you could briefly explain what is attractive to you about this position or about this company or school. Okay, so moving on to the next paragraph, the second paragraph, and also the interest, developing the reader's interest in you. The book reminds us that for this portion and to develop the interest of your audience, you need to appeal to their the rational side of your audience, and that means you appeal to their intellect. And how do you do that? You can do that by providing very specific evidence of your qualifications and experience. So you want to describe with concrete and specific detail your skills, experience, and knowledge. So again, you want to provide lots of specific evidence as to why you are qualified for this position. Let's see. And again, the book, I don't want to do a whole repeat lecture. The book goes into this in greater detail on page 200, but you want to appeal to your audience's intellect, and you can do this by providing concrete and specific evidence of your experience, your skill, and your knowledge. For example, if I was applying for a teaching job now, I could say that I have taught in higher education for 22 years. I could say that I have a PhD from Drew University and 2 master's degrees. I could say that a chapter of my dissertation was published in Education and Urban Society, and and that I still love teaching every much as I did when I first started at the age of 26. So, but you see how those are really specific things. So you want to include very specific information. Now, the next paragraph in the third stage is you want to develop a desire in your audience for you. You want them to want you on their team. So how do you do this? The book says that you can do this by applying to the pathos of your audience, and this means by building an emotional connection. And the book advises that you can best do this by showing who you are, and so that most often means in writing. There's an expression, show, don't tell, and it means that you're going to convince someone of something more effectively if you show them rather than tell them. I'll give you a very quick example that has nothing to do with employment. I could tell you, my boyfriend is a jerk. Are you going to believe that my boyfriend is a jerk? No. All you know is that I have said to you, my boyfriend is a jerk. Now let's say right now I am recording this lecture for you, and my boyfriend comes and bangs on the door, bang, 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 bangs on the door, and then kicks it down and comes in here and makes a scene. Having seen that, you will walk away from this lecture saying, wow, her boyfriend is a jerk. So my point is that I could either tell you my boyfriend is a jerk, or I could provide a story describing that scene that I just, the hypothetical scene. And which one is going to convince you more that he's a jerk? The hypothetical scene, which shows you that he's a jerk rather than telling you. So for the portion of the third paragraph where you're trying to build desire in your audience, a desire and an emotional connection to you, you could tell them a story which shows who you are, or shows a really endearing quality that you have that would also be an asset in this position that you are applying for. And then the closing, in the closing, which could just be a few lines, it's not really needs to be a whole paragraph. Here you want to push the reader into action. And the way that the book recommends you doing this, you can just close by saying, thank you for reading this and for your time. And yes, you have, I'm sure your email is going to be, and your address are already in the letterhead on this cover letter, but it is still suggested that you close by restating, I would love to meet with you, and I am available this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings between the hours of 9 and 11, and my phone number is da-da-da-da. So why do you do that if your phone number is already up in that corner? And you do that because it makes it just a little bit easier, and it just provides a little slight, one more kind of push. It may be the last, it may be the last thing that, or the last, what's the word, I'm sorry, I can't come, it may just be that one last push that is needed to compel the reader to take action, and that is what we want. So I hope that this was helpful, and that was the AIDA approach. Let's see, attention, interest, desire, and action, and those are the steps that you want to apply and develop in your audience when writing a cover letter, and they are discussed in greater detail in the textbook in chapter 10, and you should use them when doing the cover letter assignment in unit 2. Bye.